The injuries that you've had, you said you've got. What does your injury resume look like?
Oof, how far do we go back? Back in 2016. I had bilateral stress fractures in my back on L4. And what that meant for me actually long term is it's a non-union, which means the fracture was big enough that their bones actually haven't healed. So I've got to sort of live with a fracture on the left side, the right side healed, but live with a fracture on the left side of my spine on L4. That was probably my first big injury. I sort of tried to rush back into it, and I was told by doctors and physios that it was okay, but unfortunately we got it wrong. So that set me back a little bit further with that injury. But that was sort of no jogging, no running, no impact for a long time. I was running on a Alter G, which is sort of basically lifts you up and means that you're running, but you're not actually putting force through your body, things like that. But probably I've had a lot of different injuries, but the ones the most impressive, I'll say, I've torn my ACL 3 times. I went left, right, left, and I've also torn my MCL in my knee, and I've torn meniscus in both sides. I've had 6 knee surgeries, 4 on the left and 2 on the right. So they've taken up most of my gymnastics career. I've spent most of my gymnastics career overcoming knee injuries, basically.
Was there
As a
anything?
senior athlete, yeah.
Yeah, they're not even slight injuries. They're brutal. Like those are proper injuries. That's not even going half into it. But how did you? How do you get back into gymnastics having had an injury like that, having done your knees so many times, and how do you feel confident in it? How do you build your confidence back to want to throw yourself, turn yourself, tumble in the air and land, knowing that you're landing on your knee? And how do you build that confidence back to maybe not have it in your mind anymore?
Mm. Well, I think first comment is that it will be in your mind, and it's sort of again about building a relationship with it in your mind. I've had I've had difficulties along the way. After my first knee, I sort of during the rehab was like, if I do this again, I don't think I'll be able to make it back like this. The road back to full health and fitness is just grueling. It's monotonous. It's hard work. It's boring. It's really, really tough. And then I did it again and was like, oh, no, but I haven't quite done what I want to do yet. And I've still got enough in me where I want to get to the level that I believe that I'm, capable of achieving. But if I do it one more time, there's no way I can do this. And then the third time was really difficult. The third time for me, I was in a similar position of I haven't quite achieved what I believe that I'm capable of achieving yet. But it also meant, I'd done my third knee. I had to really consider, like, is this something that I can't come back from for starters? Is this going to happen again? Will my body actually let me come back to a high level of gymnastics? But also was over in America, COVID hit at the same time. So everyone left college, everyone went home during COVID. I was stuck in my college campus apartment, wasn't allowed to come back to Australia. I had my first surgery right before I had to have 2 surgeries for this one because I tore my MCL and my ACL at the same time. Had my MCL repaired, and then the second surgery they said, "Well, COVID's hit. We're not doing any. What do they call them? Elective surgeries." So the ACL was elective surgery. So I had to sit around waiting for the second one, and I effectively retired gymnastics and said, "This is done." It's sort of everything. The universe is telling me this is over. And then I remember having conversations with my parents, and they basically said, "Listen, that's fine. You do whatever you want, but please just rehab your knee properly because you want to have a functional knee for the rest of your life, whether it's gymnastics or not." And the best place to do that was with the support of the gymnastics team and the physios that came along with that. So I ended up rehabbing the knee in the gym with the physios and things like that. Again, the floor, the bouncy floor and the uneven surfaces can be a threat, but also really, really good for rehabbing knees. It really makes you work on stability and things like that. So yeah, I got back into that. And just in the meantime, we're sort of playing around on the equipment. And I remember when I was sort of 3/4 of the way through my rehab of the third knee, I was standing at parallel bars, just waiting for my turn, just sort of watching one of the younger athletes sort of stood next to me and was sort of looking up, and he just sort of tapped me and goes, "How cool is this? Like, how cool is gymnastics? Like, we get to flip our bodies around. This is so awesome." And I had this crazy moment where I was like, I've literally never, ever said that about gymnastics, ever in my whole life. At no point have I said, this is so awesome. It's just been my job. I've just gone to work every single day and just grinded at this goal. And I'm like, how boring of me to have viewed my sport as such a monotonous thing, when really, like, what we do is incredible, and it actually is so fun if you give it the opportunity to provide you with that happiness. So that lit a massive spark under me to just be like, you know what, I'm going to get back into this because I know it's fun and I want to have some fun doing this sport. I didn't do this sport for so long to not have fun, and it was in having fun that I got back to the level that I'm at now. And when I got back to the level, it was a promise that I made to myself, where, you know, if the pressure, or if how hard you have to work, or if, you know, the goals you're setting are negatively outweighing the happiness and the joy that you're getting from the sport, that's when it's time to call it. And I've sort of lived by that, and sort of, you know, managed. And of course, when you're preparing for world championships, there are things you don't want to do, and you sort of give and take a little bit. But that's really what lit the fire under my belly, or in my belly, for the last one. But it wasn't easy. I also lived for a long time at the Australian Institute of Sport, which is where I'm at now, with a lot of para athletes come through here. So after my second and third knees, I remember getting messages from some of those guys. Some of them have one leg, some of them are vision impaired, some of them have one arm. I had one friend that had no arms and no legs, and they're just going, "Oh, we can't believe this has happened to you again, mate. We're so sorry." Getting those messages, I was like, "Come on, mate. Like, come on, Clay. Like, pull yourself out of this, dude. These guys are living with some crazy, crazy, crazy things. Your knee will be repaired. Just a bit of work for the next 12 months." So I guess the word that pops to mind there is just perspective. And I was provided with the perspective that I needed to bounce back.
Hey, if you've enjoyed that video, then you can click right here to watch the full unedited version of that episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel by clicking the button below. I'll see you soon.